Hello and welcome to our today's lecture on personality assessment. Dear students, today we will discuss some of the important topics like personality assessment and the various tools that have been designed and developed for personality assessment. Before discussing the concept of personality assessment, let's try to understand the concept of measurement and assessment, how they are interrelated, and what is the difference between these concepts. Measurement is the process by which information about the attributes or characteristics of things are determined and differentiated. In other words, it refers to the process by which the attributes or dimensions of some physical object are determined. Assessment refers to the administration of quantitative tests to measure the psychological variables like personality, intelligence. It is a process by which information is obtained relative to some known objective or goal. From this definition and difference of measurement and assessment, we can deduce these three main features or characteristics of measurement and assessment. Number one, identify and defining the quality or attribute that is to be measured. Number two, determining a set of operations by which the attribute may be made clear and perceivable. And number three, establishing a set of procedures or definitions for translating observations into quantitative statements of degree or amount. Now, dear students, we will come to the main topic, that is personality assessment and its various tools. Personality assessment is the branch of psychology that deals with the design, administration, interpretation of quantitative tests for the measurement of psychological variables such as types and traits of personality. There are three types of personality assessment tools. Number one, self-report personality inventories. Number two, observational methods. And number three, projective techniques. Let's understand all of them briefly. Self-report inventories. Self-report personality inventories or structured personality inventories are self-rating questionnaires in which an individual describes his own feelings, environment, others' reactions towards himself. R.S. Woodworth was the first psychologist who invented the first inventory, which he called the personality data sheet. There are various types of personality inventories like MMPI, CPI, EPI, 16PF that we will discuss briefly. MMPI or Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory. It is an indirect type of objective inventory in which subjects were to respond true or false, and it was developed in the early 1940s by Hathaway and McKinley as an aid to psychiatric diagnosis for detecting disabling psychological abnormalities. It is called multiphasic because it was designed to detect several psychiatric and pathological problems. It was developed at the University of Minnesota. Originally, this inventory had 550 items. Each item of this original inventory had three options: true, false, and cannot say. In recent years, MMPI has been revised and reconstituted into two separate versions, MMPI-2 and MMPI Adolescent. The items of MMPI cover the total personality. There are 10 clinical scales of MMPI, which are: number one, hypochondriasis or HS, number two, depression or D, number three, hysteria or HY, number four, psychopathic deviate or PD, number five, masculinity femininity or MF, number six, paranoia or PA, number seven, psychasthenia or PT, number eight, schizophrenia or SC, number nine, hypomania MA, and number 10, social introversion. The Eysenck Personality Inventory or EPI. EPI is based on the program of Factor Analytic Questionnaire. H.J. Eysenck and Sybil B.J. Eysenck developed this inventory for assessing the normal and abnormal dimensions of personality. It consists of 90 statements to be answered in terms of yes or no. Initially, Eysenck identified only 2 dimensions of personality, but later on, a third dimension was included in it. Now, the inventory has 3 dimensions: psychoticism or P, extroversion or E, and neuroticism or N. Let's briefly define all 3 of them. Psychoticism or P scale. It assesses the dimension of psychoticism, traits like poor concentration, poor memory, insensitivity, liking for unusual things, lack of caring for others. A person scoring high on this scale indicates impulsivity, aggressive traits, lack of empathy, preference for unusual things. Extroversion or E scale. Extroversion is characterized by being talkative, outgoing, in need of external stimulation. E scale assesses the dimensions and its opposite pole, that is introversion. High scores on E scale indicates such persons are fun-loving and gregarious. Low scores on this scale indicate introverted traits such as preference for solitude and quiet activities. Such persons show tender-mindedness and seriousness. Neuroticism or N scale. N scale assesses the traits like slowness in thoughts and actions, suggestibility, tendency to repress unpleasant facts, and lack of sociability. A high score on this dimension indicates that the person is nervous, maladjusted, and over-emotional. And a low score indicates that the person is stable and confident. California Psychological Inventory or CPI. It is an in-depth structured personality assessment tool originally developed by Harrison Goff in 1957. Initially, it consisted of 480 items, but later on, after multiple revisions, its original length of items was reduced to 434. All the 434 items are to be answered as either true or false. Most of the items of CPI have been drawn from MMPI. But it differs from MMPI in terms of usage. It is specifically used for assessing personalities of normal adult personalities, whereas MMPI assesses only the personalities of abnormal persons. In the latest version of CPI, there are 20 scales on which scores are yielded. Among these 20 scales, 3 are validity scales designed to assess test-taking attitudes. These 3 scales are designated as well-being, which is also written as WB, based on responses by a normal person asked to fake bad, good impression or GI, based on responses by a normal person asked to fake good, and communality, CM, based on a frequency count of highly popular responses. The remaining 17 scales provide scores on personality dimensions like dominance, sociability, self-acceptance, responsibility, socialization, self-control, achievement via conformance, achievement via independence, empathy, and independence. Cotell's Personality Questionnaire. The Cotell's Personality Questionnaire, or commonly known as 16 Personality Factor Questionnaire, 16PF, is one of the most important personality inventory. It was developed to obtain a comprehensive description of personality. Cotell used factor analysis by compiling all personality trait names found in dictionary and in psychological literature. It starts with a large database with intercorrelation of a large number of items. In the same way, R.B. Cotell compiled a list of 18,000 terms and reduced by combining synonyms. It is designed for ages 16 and over, and it yields 16 scores separately on 16 traits of personality. Each of it is bipolar. It has problem-solving questions, which contains 15 items at the end of the inventory, which consists of reasoning scale intended to measure mental ability. Inclusion for measures of 3 indices of response style in the questionnaire enables experimenter to assess random responding, acquiesce tendency, and attempts to show socially desirable or undesirable qualities. Dear students, apart from the self-report inventories we discussed so far, various attempts have been made in India to construct our own tests. Some of the self-report inventories that have been developed include the one made by Bengali in 1964, who developed a multiphasic personality inventory, which he named it as Youth Adjustment Analyzer, or YAA, meant to screen out maladjusted students from the college-going population. Dear students, as we discuss the self-report inventories as objective tools for personality assessment, there are some projective techniques of personality assessment. Let's understand what they are. Projective techniques are indirect and unstructured methods of personality assessment designed to yield information about someone's personality on the basis of their unrestricted response to ambiguous objects or situations. The term projective technique had been introduced by Lawrence Frank in 1939. Two main projective technique tests are Rorschach ink blot test and TAT. Characteristics of projective techniques. Number 1. Ambiguous material. In projective techniques, ambiguous material is used. Ambiguous material means that every subject can interpret the test stimuli in his own way. Number 2. Evoke responses from the unconscious. Projective tests are implicit in nature because the subject projects his inner feelings in the test situations. Number 3. Freedom to respond. These tests provide freedom to the subject to respond in any possible manner to test stimuli. Number 4. Answers are not right or wrong. In projective tests, responses are not evaluated or scored on the basis of right or wrong. Number 5. Holistic approach. Projective tests study the totality of behavior. Rorschach ink blot test. It is a projective test developed by a Swiss psychiatrist named Hermann Rorschach in 1921. He developed it as a tool for diagnostic investigation of personality as a whole. It consists of 10 ink blots, 11 into 9 inches that are symmetrical. That is, the left side of each card is essentially a mirror image of the right side. 5 of the ink blots are, that's cards 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, are made in shades of black and grey, and others are multicolored. In this test, the cards are presented one by one along with a blank card on which the subject locates his responses. He or she is asked to look at the ink blot and to say everything that the ink blot looks like. After administering and completion of test, the experimenter analyzes a Rorschach test record by scoring each response in terms of 4 features like location, determinant, content, and originality. Let's discuss these features one by one. Location. The responses of the subject may be whole blot, W, major blot, D, small usual detail, small d, DD, unusual detail, S, which is also called white space. Determinant. Form or F, color or C, or combination of the two, FC or CF, texture and shading, movement in progress of the cards. Content. Animal or A, human being or H, and inanimate objects seen by the subject in the cards. Originality. Original responses marked as O and popular responses marked as P. Experimenter interprets these 4 categories in relation with each other, not separately. Thematic apperception test. This projective technique has been introduced by Henry Murray to measure the need for achievement, but it was fully developed by Morgan for the assessment of personality. The term thematic has been derived from the term thema, which refers to a subject or topic on which a person thinks, speaks, or writes. Whereas apperception refers to clear perception involving definite recognition and identification. The test material of TAT consists of 31 cards, 30 depicting various pictures which portray human beings in a variety of actual life situations, and among 31 cards, 1 is blank. 10 each of these cards are meant for males, 10 for females, and 10 for both sexes. In TAT, the maximum number of cards that we can use on a single subject is 20. Generally, the pictures are given in 2 sessions. The number of pictures depends on age, sex, and type of the problem. These pictures are administered individually as well as collectively to groups of subjects. The time taken of turning cards and emotional expressions are recorded by the experimenter. Like Rorschach ink blot test, TAT needs a very highly skilled and expert experimenter to interpret the responses given by subject to each and every card. In TAT, the 2 assumptions that guide in interpretation and analysis are the attributes of the hero or main character in the story representing tendencies in the respondent's own personality, and secondly, the characteristics of hero's environment representing significant aspects of the subject's own environment. The stories of thematic apperception test are scored on these contents: hero of the story, needs and conflicts of the hero, unusual responses, deletion and addition in the pictures, and emotional expression. Overall, from the discussion of projective techniques, we can state that these techniques yield very useful data of the overall personality. Dear students, we discussed multiple self-report inventories and various projective techniques. We will now discuss interview as a tool of personality assessment. As all of you have some concept of interview, but technically the concept of interview is a bit different. Let's go through this technique in detail. Interview as a tool of personality assessment. Interview is a face-to-face interaction in which one person, the interviewer, attempts to elicit information from the other person, that is, the interviewee. It is one of the most widely used techniques of personality assessment. This method gives an opportunity for mutual exchange of ideas and information between the subject and the interviewer. The subject's answer to the question and his other behavior serve as important clues to the interviewer. The first prerequisite of interview is to establish perfect rapport with the subject so that he may express his feelings freely and feel comfortable. The personality of the interviewer can influence the performance of the subject in the interview. Interviews may be typed with respect to a number of different variables. One such variable is content, but generally interviews are of 2 types, namely formal interview and informal interview. A formal interview is a systematic procedure for collecting information regarding the respondent in which already prepared questions are asked in a set order by the interviewer and answers are recorded in a standardized form. It is also known as structured or patterned interview. An informal interview or unstructured interview is one where there are no predetermined questions, nor is there any preset order of questions, and it is the interviewer who asks questions in a way he likes regarding a number of key points around which the interview is to be built. Now, videotapes are used to compile interview data to facilitate the overall and systematic analysis of the interview. Dear students, from the discussion that we so far had, we can conclude that personality assessment is very important to see an individual's current functioning and adjustment in the society. Psychologists and psychometricians have tried to measure it appropriately to check suitability of a particular individual in a particular field. With that, we come to the end of our today's lecture on personality assessment. Hope it was helpful for you. Thank you.